Okay, I think we're in. Um, I'm just gonna keep this video fairly short, explaining to you how you can literally practice mindfulness everywhere at any time. You don't have to sit down like this guy right here on top of the mountain looking for a peaceful place. So the problem here, because if we follow this kind of meditation, it's gonna cost us a lot of time, and there's just not enough time to meditate. Now, the good news is you can practice mindfulness everywhere. So let's define first meditation and mindfulness. So it's important to note that meditation and mindfulness are not the exact same things. So I hear most of you say something like, I meditate every day for 10 minutes. That literally doesn't mean anything, because meditation is any form of practice to train your mind. So when you say that you meditate every day, it's like saying that I'm training for something. Well, you're training for what? So let's assume that you're training for mindfulness, which is what most meditation tutorials or meditation guides help you or show you what to do or what to practice, and that is mindfulness. So it's important to define what mindfulness is. So mindfulness is basically awareness without judgments. So let's take a look at this sunflower right here. So when you see this sunflower and you say something like, oh, it looks beautiful. Yeah, I think it looks good. That is a judgment. So basically you're no longer mindful of it, but you could be aware of it, that it's there. But the goal of mindfulness is that there is no judgment. You're simply just observing the sunflower in front of you. And if you're doing that, if you're doing exactly that, then you are being mindful of the sunflower. Now, for meditation, this is what I'm talking about earlier. Meditation is any form of practice that trains the mind. So if you combine those two terms together, you get mindfulness meditation, which is basically just the training for mindfulness. Now, it's important to note as well that there are three things that you can be mindful of. That's your senses, so your five senses. What you can see, what you can touch, and all of that. Your thoughts, so anything that you're thinking, you can be mindful of that. And your emotions. Your goal here is for you to put your mindfulness back to your senses so that you can stay present. That's basically the purpose of mindfulness, to stay present. Now, with that, we can use this framework right here that we can use for any activities that we do, we usually do every day. So, to start here, first we're being mindless. So you're not being mindful first of like what you're thinking and what you're seeing, what you're feeling right now in the present moment. So you're deep in your thoughts, Now, that you realize that you were distracted, you bring your focus back into the present moment, which becomes mindfulness, or you're now being mindful of the present moment. So as you can see right here, it's just about staying present. You get distracted again, you realize that you got distracted, bring your focus back to the present moment again. Now, if you put it into the context of mindful walking, this is what you're going to see. So you start first with being mindless, and you think about your problems and your business, and you realize that you got distracted. You say something like, hey, I'm distracted with this thought, and you bring your focus back to the present moment. So whilst you're walking, you focus on the trees, the sound of the leaves, and coldness of air. Basically what you're feeling right now. Now, if you put it in the context of eating, we have mindful eating. So let's say you're being mindless, you're thinking about your laundry and all of this stuff, and you realize again that you were distracted, so you focus back on what you're eating. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that any task can become a mindfulness practice. And all you have to do is to follow this framework right here, which I created and stole from one of my favorite YouTubers before, Hamza Ahmed. So it was inspired by that mindfulness framework. So I'm gonna include this screenshot into my post, and you guys can take a look at it. And if you have any questions, you can ask that on the comment. Now, to get started now, what you need is just basically get a timer, preferably your phone, and then follow the previous frameworks. So again, if you have any questions, just put it down in the comments. I'm gonna answer the question real quick.